that are present and the ones that are here. I'm going to call the meeting. I call to order the meeting. It's 7:06. We're late by 6 minutes due to some technical difficulties with the Zoom. We have individuals here and we have individuals here remote. The meeting is being recorded. It is 7:06 p.m. I'd like to take a roll. I'm going to start with my left.
Michael Connor.
Michael Connor, Don Martinez, Sue Garden. On Zoom, Mr. O'Connell,
Present.
Mr. Calamati,
Here.
Mr. Salisbury.
Here.
It says Jennifer's iPhone. I'm assuming that's Mrs. Altamonte.
Here.
Thank you. So we have quorum for the meeting. Who's not here is Mr. Sposato. I don't see him here. That's fine, just not present, just present. And former member, Mrs. Grant, though she's not on the committee, but she's also here, listening in. And can add any commentary if need be, since she is a citizen and can ask questions. So roll call is done. The purpose of this meeting is to answer questions from the citizens about the charter that was voted on in the last meeting by the members. We'll be presenting the charter changes on November the 15th is the town meeting, correct? Pardon me?
I believe so.
Yeah. I don't know what article, what number it is, doesn't really matter for this purpose. So I'd like to read this for everybody before we get started. Today is October 30th, Charter Review Monday, Arcan Meeting Room, 7 p.m. As the current committee members for the Bylaw and Charter Review Committee, Don Martinez, Chairman, who's resident at large. Brian Salisbury is Vice Chairman and Vice Chairman of the Planning Board. Michael Connor is the Selectman and Chairman of the current Select Board. William O'Connell, Planning Board Chairman. Larry Sposato, Town Clerk. This is not a roll call, this is just the members. Sue Garten, Library Trustee. Chair. Thank you for the correction. Were you when we started? When it started?
No.
Okay,
No.
thank you. That's why I didn't have it. I apologize. Joe Calamati, Finance Committee member. Jennifer Altamonte, Vice Chairman, School Committee, and Joyce Flannery, resident at large. For the citizens, there are 8 articles / sections to the charter. The committee has exhaustively reviewed the charter and has made the recommended changes. The charter was initially adopted in 2003, and by Mass General Law, the charter must be reviewed every 10 years and presented at town meeting for adoption. The charter was reviewed in 2013 and adopted at town meeting. And the following changes will be presented at the fall, November 15, 2023 town meeting for adoption. The purpose of the 10-year review cycle is to ascertain if the charter is current with changes made to Mass General Law. If not, it is the responsibility of the committee to review and adopt the changes and present to town. I wanted to highlight a couple of major, it's not major changes, but changes throughout the entire document to be in compliance with what Mass General Law is recommended to all towns. Is that there's been a change where applicable to change gender references. For example, he has been changed to their or she to their. So now the document is gender neutral throughout. And the committee has also elected to change the reference of selectmen to select board. Now, a while back, the select board made a change that they wanted to be addressed as a select board, but it was unofficial. It will be official if this is approved at town meeting. I would like to review each article and refer to the town council's comments for explanation. So everyone, we brought copies of the charter. They're here. The changes are in there. You'll see that the charter had original language, then it was struck through and then highlighted in black or bolded in black is the new language. For clarity and convenience and understanding, Section 7 definitions has been moved to the beginning of the document, which is really consistent with any type of legal document today. The definitions that you're going to see these words throughout the document. It's typically at the front of the document, not at the end. In the previous charter, they were at the end of the document. So that's just a little bit of housekeeping. So I just wanted to, we'll just start from the beginning. Are there any questions from the citizens that are present before we move on? Any questions from the board members, the committee members? No? Okay. All right, so we're going to start with section 1, just to go through it. Again, as mentioned previous, Article 1, all references to the Board of Selectmen, Selectmen, and Selectmen have been replaced with the words Select Board. Throughout the document, there's men and man. It's all been changed for consistency to Select Board, 2 words, not 1 word. Okay? Section 7 definitions, page 2. We've moved section 7-5-1 and renumbered accordingly. So now it'll be 1-7-1, 1-7-2, and on. Article 2, legislative branch, presiding officer. So in 2-2-2, the language added in accordance with general law, chapter 39. So a change has been made throughout to form of citations to specific general laws, such as revisions which have no substantive, basically, effect. They're not changing the document at all. It's just citations to mass general law, which just makes it consistent throughout the document.
It's actually general laws.
General laws.
Instead of mass general.
Yeah, general law, correct. Thank you.
Mhm.
So you'll see that change in 2-3-1 Finance Committee provided by general law instead of MGLA by this charter and bylaw. 2-4-2. This was actually adopted by the bylaw, reflects the town's current practices. The first regular meeting to be known as the spring annual town meeting. And then in 2-4-3, the second such meeting to be known as fall annual town meeting. If you recall, they were called special town meeting. There'll be a spring town meeting and a fall town meeting. And that was addressed during the bylaw review. It was approved at a year ago this November. As we move on to under our legislative branch, we move over to page 5. There again, just to point out, it's bolded, we replaced his with their. So you'll see things like that consistently throughout the document. Any questions? Concerns?
May I have a question?
Yeah.
So in 2-7-1. Parentheses 3. It referenced regular town meeting and any votes for a special town meeting. Did that not say spring or fall? Where it says initiation of warrant articles.
Yeah.
Were you on 271?
2-7-1.
2-7-1.
So that,
That is referencing a special town meeting, but
Which is
previously it said
different.
spring
Different.
and fall.
Different than the spring and fall town meeting.
Okay, so they're not connected, the
No,
fall.
no,
and
those
fall.
aren't, Michael.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, moving on to Article 3, elected officers. We're on page 6. So there was a change. The offices to be filled by ballot of the voters of the entire town shall be select board, a moderator, a school committee, a town clerk, constables, a planning board, library trustees, and which change here is 3 members of a housing authority. So state law has reduced the number of elected housing committee members to 3 and provided that 1 member be a tenant. So there's 5 members in the housing committee. 3 will be elected. 1 is going to be a tenant. And as before, the 5th member is appointed by DHCD. So it's just basically this change was made to comply with general law. Moving down, where just more grammatical from a contractual point of view, the town council pointed out that where numbers are less than 10, words are used. Where numbers are 10 or more, numbers are used. Okay, that's just consistent throughout the document. And then as we move on to page 7. Other appointments, 3-2-8. An internal reference was updated to the correct chapter. Okay, 8-2-3 instead of 831. So they just made a correction. And the committee went through, we debated quite a bit about back and forth, and it was our town council that actually put this final document together, made sure the numbering was correct, did all of that cleanup for us. That was the responsibility of town council. Section 6 under planning board, the composition. So I'm not going to read the entire text that was added, but the text was added really to codify that the planning board will have an associate member and addresses when the associate member may act. So basically, this basically calls out that the associate member doesn't really has a right to appoint if they need the associate member to vote. Other than that, they have no voting privileges on specific articles. This was really done also in accordance with Mass General Law. Okay, any questions? No? So, and number 8, section 8, constable. So there's no comments here, but there was a lot of back and forth with the committee about the value and the need for constables today and who serves the warrants, etc. Back and forth. So basically the language, we cut out quite a bit of the language as you can see. And we just basically said to clean it up and make it simpler, constables may exercise powers as provided under Massachusetts Constitution and general laws. So there's a lot of language there. It was just much easier to clean it up and just say, this is what they're going to be useful, because there was a lot of back and forth on the number, what their purpose is, etc. So we just cleaned it up.
Go on page 10 at the top, it was typo, constitution has 2 C's to start.
You're right. Good catch. Yeah, once we're done there, that's good. Thank you. Once we get there, we'll pass it back to Lauren to clean it up. The Bellingham Housing Authority, this language was added at General Council's request at the end, as it may be amended from time to time. This language simply recognized that the law itself could be updated. So let's say if general law changes 5 years from now, it gives the right to update this. Hello, thank you. Under recall provisions, if you look at 3-11-2, basically at the end of the day, we cut out all this unnecessary language and just said, if there's going to be a recall petition, it will explicitly state that the petition must be signed under oath. So if the petition is not signed under oath, if it is, then, and if it's fraudulent, then there'd be grounds for suit against that person who's petitioning fraudulently. The petition, we added language, the petition shall be addressed to the select board and include the town clerk's signature and official seal, the date, and the ground set forth in the recall affidavit, the name and title of the person whose recall is sought, and the names of that first 10 voters signing the affidavit. So we basically cleaned up the language at General Council's request. So the revision clarifies the content of the petition, the process for providing petitions to the petitioners, and requires that the petitioners identify lead petitioner, who will be the main contact for the towns. Okay. Any questions about that? No. And then instead of writing 24 hours, we changed it, the town clerk shall within 24 hours. We changed that to 2 working days. So the revision clarifies the time frame in which the petitions must be submitted by the clerk to the Board of Registrars. 3-11-3 recall election. The addition was done and the comment from general counsel is this is a stylistic change. It also recognizes that the notice could be delivered in hand. Okay, so could be delivered in hand, certificate, certified mail, or by mail, so you get that in hand. Next. It's not really a lot there. This whole the incumbent shall, they just basically removed, struck the he, added the incumbent is the unexpired term. So it's just some grammatical cleaning there. But Article 4, town administrator. So here, some of the, you'll see select board, the change there added to this was training or previous experience. So the town, so we went back and forth, as everyone knows, sits in this room, about the qualifications for a town administrator. Only piece of language that was really added was fitted by education, training, or previous experience. So I'm not going to get into what's going on today in this town, but it's obvious that it's important to have someone that has either previous training or has done that job before. You wouldn't hire someone for a job of any, I mean, there are of that type if they didn't have any experience or training. So not a lot changed there, just those 4 words. The town administrator, so we did clarify that the town administrator shall hold no elected position or other appointed except in an ex officio capacity, which, if you recall, you weren't here early, but Beth is, as acting town administrator, is ex officio, and Dennis was prior when he was here. The powers and duties. So some language here was to clarify. So as you all know, we had an unexpected situation when Dennis suddenly left due to some health issues. We made some changes in this area so that that the town, the select board primarily, would have the ability, right, to hire the most qualified candidate. They also have the ability to reject candidates and giving them 15 days notice. And it's, as you look through all of the pieces that have been changed, the biggest change to all of this really comes down to, at the end of the day, the select board, if we'll say this happens again, that the select board has the right to vote or hire in a temporary town administrator or whatever they may call it at that time, which is what happened back then. The change in this in the chart basically carved that out, because there was in the previous charter some ambiguity. And the ambiguity was that we basically went to town council to get their advice, and they basically said, we'll get back to you. They got back to say, yes, the select board has the right to do this without it being a public meeting or anything along those lines. We're able to exercise that right. We just basically carved it out to make it simpler for the next board if that should happen. Nothing really in here. The other piece that we had some conversation about 4-2-12. So this was added. The town administrator may delegate to others the administrator's powers and duties under this charter, except as may be prohibited by law. And further, any action taken by a designee authorized hereunder shall be deemed to be actions of the town administrator. So as an example, we have a town meeting coming up. The town administrator can delegate pieces of what's going to have to put the town meeting together, can delegate that authority. But at the end of the day, the town administrator is still responsible for that work that's done by that individual. I mean, that's just normal. That was added. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Dennis wanted to add that language so there was no ambiguity at all. And I'm not sure why, but I don't think there's any history behind it. But that just clarifies that, hey, the town administrator can say, hey, Beth, I need you to do this for me. Or, hey, to the CFO, I need you to do this for me. And they'll do it. But at the end of the day, the town administrator is responsible for that work. Now, the next piece is the absence, and I referred to it earlier, the temporary acting town administrator. So a temporary absence is different than an unexpected absence or unexpected long-term absence. A temporary absence may be, I'm the town administrator, or you're the town administrator, and I know that I'm gonna be going in for a medical procedure, and I'm gonna be out for a month, rehabbing, et cetera, and I won't be able to perform my duties. They need to let the select board know, and the select board would have the right at that time really to assign a temporary town administrator to perform the duties in their absence. So it's the select board has the ability to do that. Now, if the town administrator has not made a filing, in other words, an unexpected absence, in the event of a temporary absence of the town administrator, or what the select board shall appoint a town administrative officer or employee of its choosing to serve as a temporary. So that's kind of what happened. It was unexpected. We didn't know how long Dennis was going to be out. We knew he was going to be out for more than a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks at that time. So the board then appointed Beth to be the temporary or acting town administrator. I forget exactly the words, but so any questions on that? Ken, I see you kind of squinting. Questions? No? You look like you're in deep thought. That's what. All right. Any vacancy in the office of town administrator shall be filed as soon as possible by the select board, but pending such regular appointment. So this language clarifies that if for any reason, I already said that. This is the timing, I believe. Any vacancy in the office of the town administrator shall be filled as soon as possible by the select board, but pending such regular appointment, the select board shall appoint a qualified administrative officer to perform duties on an acting basis. And then we put some time frame. Such temporary appointment shall not exceed 3 months, but one renewal that may be voted. So 3 months, one renewal, 6 months. So that's basically, they've got 6 months, the board has 6 months, but it doesn't have to, they can continue to extend it if they don't find a qualified candidate. Okay. Any questions? No? The next section was added, the powers and duties of what the acting or temporary town administrator would be, notwithstanding preceding sentence. If the select board concludes at a properly posted open meeting that the best interest of the town require a permanent appointment. So let's say during that 60 days or 90 days, the select board decides that they want to hire that person to be the town administrator because the situation changes. It has to be voted on in a public meeting. So basically saying, hey, this is going to be voted on before the citizens. This never, notwithstanding, the board concludes that a properly, why is it properly posted? Because it has to be an official meeting. It just can't be, hey, we're going to slap something together. All right. Question? No, okay. All right. So if during an absence or vacancy in the office of town administrator, the select board determines that it's in the best interest of the town to make a permanent appointment, the select board may authorize a temporary or acting administrator to make a permanent appointment, which is basically a paraphrase, but that's the explanation provided by council. So we struck D, and the reason why it was struck is to clean it up. Is comment is that the open meeting law is applicable regardless of whether this language appears in the charter. So regardless, doesn't need to be there. Open meeting law. Everyone here is subject to the open meeting law. All right. Article 5, administrative organization. So we deleted section 5-2-1 because it was unnecessary according to council. I know we talked about this in great length. This is unnecessary language. And we added merit principle 5-2. Due to the deletion of the first section of chapter 5, the following section numbers have been deleted and renumbered according to set. So we removed section 5-2-1 because this can be recorded without a charter provision. 5-2-1, and we renumbered the rest of that section. Okay, moving on. Article 6, the finance and fiscal procedures. So, this section, actually, we have, a handful of recommendations by the former CFO. As she went through this and compared to other charters, and some additions were made. And as you'll see in Article 6-2-4, the chief financial officer will serve as ex officio on the finance and capital improvements committee. So this is just carving it out, what the chief financial responsibilities would be. In addition, the chief financial officer will assist the town administrator in the preparation of the annual operating budget and capital budget. We added capital budget. There's two budgets that get worked on and approved. And then the rest of it, as you'll see, are changes from selectmen to select board. We go into section 4, the budget process, where really no changes there. So in 6-4-9, we remove the Board of Selectmen shall transmit to the budget request of school committee with its recommendation thereon to finance committee. So the amounts recommended for the school department budget appear in the draft budget prepared by the town administrator and approved by the select board. This language is therefore unnecessary, so that language was removed. Article 7, general provisions. Under rules and regulations, this language, I'll read it out. A copy of the rules and regulations adopted by a town agency shall be filed in the office of the town clerk and shall become effective immediately upon filing or at such later date as may be specified therein. This provides flexibility as above. The number here has been revised and is shown in bold. Underline this numbering is to replace existing numbering. Any questions? The next section, periodic review of child charter and bylaws. So we talked quite a bit about this, and we added some additional language for clarification. I believe I'm not really sure who, I'm not quite sure who brought this up. It doesn't really matter. The charter bylaw review at least once in every 10 years, as I stated earlier, and ending in a 3, a special committee to consist of 9 members shall be established for the purpose of reviewing this charter and the town bylaws, and to make a report with recommendations to the town meeting concerning any proposed amendments, which said committee may determine to be necessary or desirable. The committee shall consist of 9 members who shall be chosen as follows: the select board, the school committee, the planning board, the town clerk, and the board of library trustees shall each designate 1 person. The finance committee shall designate 2 persons, and the moderator shall appoint 2 persons with preference given to residents who do not hold an elected position. So basically 2, so in that case, as an example, I was on the select board when this started, and Mrs. Grant was as well. We both wanted to serve. Mrs. Grant was the select person or select board member, and I was on there. This would preclude me from being on that board, because if I was a selectman, I'd have to be a citizen. So they just wanted to have, there's enough elected positions here already. They wanted to have, say from, like, for example, one of you folks that are sitting here that are an elected position, you might be able to serve on that board if you so do so. So it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I understand. What we did get is why 2 finance committee members, but still, we went back and forth on that, but it stayed that way. All right.
Can I go back to that language, please?
Pardon me?
Can you go back to the language
Sure.
in regards to the members at large?
Mm-hmm.
Can you please repeat it for me?
Sure. The moderator shall appoint 2 persons with preference given to residents who do not hold an elected position.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we debated quite a bit about that particular line. I think we settled that night that would be the language. We drafted it a few different times. So are we okay with that?
I do think we need more participation from unelected officials on future boards. And I hope that language is strong enough to make sure that happens.
Well, whoever the board makeup is, if it's not right, they can basically say, this isn't in accordance with the intent of the charter 10 years from now, and they can say no. And they can push the moderator at that time to make sure that there is at least 2 individuals on the committee that aren't in elected positions.
Thank you.
Okay, and Article 8, other provisions. But some of this language was deleted out, 8-2-2A, date of, it, not necessary, should be deleted, so we just cleaned some things up at the end, date of town elections. That is all, that's in the bylaws, so that was all carved out, that was just struck. And that's really about it. Oh, I'm sorry, there was, there was the elected position, so I apologize. Didn't mean to jump. There were 2 additional, town planner to serve for a 1-year term, that wasn't in there. So we added town planner, the conservation agent to serve a 1-year term. So underneath, the finance committee as provided by law, the town administrator shall appoint the following. So we added all of the roles and what the terms would be, and we added the town planner and conservation agent. So I believe previous charter, we didn't really specify it to that degree, but we added that language. And then the Board of Health shall appoint the following. So we added the health agent to serve for a 1 year and who shall serve under the director of the Department of Inspections or for purposes and coordination of inspections. The library trustee shall appoint the following. And that was listed, but I want to go back because we also talked about, did we miss something here? The Board of Health. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's not carved out, I missed it, because I knew we did. We changed the Board of Health from 3 to 5 members.
What is that? Which article? 28, it's 8-2-1.
Yeah. So it's under the select board shall appoint the following: town administrator, 3-year term. Affordable fair housing. Board of Health will consist of, we crossed off 3 and added 5. And that was done, one, we had discussion here, we brought in the Board of Health, they agreed that 5 members is better suited for the roles and responsibilities of the Board of Health.
Question?
Yeah.
So when there's a 5-member board, such as the Board of Health, is there anywhere that it stipulates that those terms should be 2-2-1 versus errors that have occurred over the years where it goes to 3-2-0?
No.
Just under select board.
Yeah, let's take a look. I don't think we did, that's a good
I
point.
don't believe we discussed that.
No. I'm sorry, Mr. O'Connell, what? I didn't hear.
I don't believe we discussed
No, I
that.
don't think we did either.
It's not a bad idea, but we did not discuss it in any detail.
Because I mean, conservation, we ran into trouble, and that should be 3-2-2.
Is that a, but it's not a bylaw, is it?
So, what I'll respond to that, Michael, is at any time, if they want to make changes to the charter, the select board can, with town meeting approval. So if you say, hey, a year from now, we really, this isn't working out, we need to go 2-2-1, you can make those recommendations and do that at town meeting, okay? I'd like not to stop this and debate it, you know what I mean, and get this thing done.
I just didn't know if there was a place. that
Yeah,
was-
no, there should, it's a really good point, just like with conservation, like you said, it's a good point, so. There's some conversation and that's fine, but is there anything that, no? No, it's okay, if you had questions, we want to address them. Any questions from any members of the board? Any questions, from any of the individuals listening via Zoom? If you'd like, come off mute and, fire away. No. All right, I guess then if there are no more questions in the audience, yes, Mr. Hanley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. At a previous meeting, when the town council was here, the meeting had adjourned and she was still here. I asked her, if this doesn't pass at town meeting, then are we under some penalty or some fine? Or do we have a deadline to get it done, even though we're past that deadline? And she seemed to imply that if it fails, then the original charter the old charter still remains in effect. And she said other towns are still working on overtime by a year. So if this fails at town meeting, it seems like we're just back with the old charter. Am I correct?
So my understanding, because I did have that conversation as well, and along with Mr. Frayne too. If the charter isn't approved at town meeting, then it reverts, the charter that's in place remains in place.
Right.
Just remains in place. And then a new committee would be formed. A new committee, not the existing committee, would be formed. And my recommendation would be change it up completely, start fresh. They can take the work that was done with the previous committee and then move forward. I mean, that's my recommendation. That doesn't mean that would go, but.
Mr. Chairman, would the new committee start in right after town meeting?
That's
After they're appointed?
that's entirely up to the Board of Selectmen. Yeah, all of this is under the purview of the Board of Selectmen. So we're working on behalf of the Board of Selectmen to review the charter like we did the bylaw. We've got the bylaw approved at town meeting. And that's, we're hoping to get this done and close it up. As everyone can see, there aren't a lot of like crazy changes to the way the town government is structured. We're not asking, to remove the town clerk to an appointed position from an elected position. We're not looking to change the makeup of the select board from 5 to 7 or to move town government from a town meeting to a city council. There's nothing like that. Those are big changes that a town, and that takes a long time for that to happen. These are, one, the intent was to bring up to general law. We did that, and to identify areas where there could be some improvement. We did with the Board of Health by adding from 3 to 5. We changed the language for the town administrator, making that a little cleaner should that situation arise again. Other than that, as you heard, there haven't been there's nothing really material in this document.
I felt that at the last town meeting in May, the spring town meeting, when this was defeated, it was an outrageous town meeting where.
Yeah, I don't want to actually, Mr. Hanway, I appreciate you saying that, but we've all worked very hard. You folks have been here.
Yes.
We really appreciate the support. I think at this time, rehashing what happened in May or anything before this is not a good exercise.
All I wanted to say was, if this doesn't pass in November, then it's foolish.
Well,
It's a lot of work that's been done. People have worked hard on it. There's been obstruction, there's been delays and whatever. It's time to get this done, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. I think the committee that we've all worked hard appreciates that sentiment, Mr. Henry, we do. Again, we've had a number of citizens after that town meeting, come here during the summer, weigh in on things. And I just appreciate that. And hopefully, if you feel that strongly, which I can sense you do, make sure you're at town meeting, which I know you always do, and get everyone you can to show up at town meeting. I do want to apologize to the members, Mr. O'Connell especially, who brought it up. Mr. O'Connell, I sent an email up to Hillary to post the agenda. I don't think you're aware, but I had a family situation last week. I emailed her and asked her to please post an agenda. I gave her some language. She sent it to me. I missed it. This was not intended to be a Zoom only. I take full responsibility for that. There was no intent. Again, I was out of pocket due to a family emergency. And I was just trying to get things, make sure that we got this meeting, make sure we have the agenda ready. And I missed that, but I apologize for those who felt as though this was a Zoom only. I believe you were at the last meeting. We never once said it was Zoom only. You said it would be a public meeting.
That was not what I said, Don.
Huh?
Said the agenda on the document said Zoom only. I would have been there if it had been Zoom only.
Again, I just apologize to you, and I'm sorry that, you know, you read it that way. It wasn't in intent. I just want to get that for the record. We stated at the last meeting, we were having a public meeting. We were having, citizens here. I recall that there was debate on whether we should get the, high school auditorium or the high school gymnasium, as there would be a lot of people there. And I believe that was you that made that comment.
Wasn't it?
But I'm glad, as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 9, 10 people total from the town. The same 9 or 10 people that have been here since town meeting. So for all those folks that were there in opposition, that's the only thing I say, we haven't seen hide or hair, whatever that word is, all summer long.
My point wasn't people attending in favor or in opposition. My point was, if you read the document, it indicated in the document, it was a Zoom only meeting. I would have been there if I had known I could have attended.
Okay, it's noted. Thank you. All right, since there's nothing else to satisfy the agenda, I'm going to call for a vote to close the meeting at 7:47. The motion. Just some-
So moved.
Hold on, Bill. I have a question.
Do we have to vote on this to go to town meeting?
No, we've already done
We've
that.
already done that.
This was a
Okay.
citizens only
Okay.
information session.
Okay,
It's not meant at all. This is, we'll have some minutes. We'll figure out how to get these minutes approved. But this will be it. The next time that we will address this will be at town meeting on the 15th. Okay? So thank you all for your
I
attendance.
didn't have the motions were, I'm sorry.
Motion to
Sharon was.
adjourn. Joe Colomati was number 1.
Yep.
We have a second.
Second.
Second by Michael. All in, any questions? There was a hand being raised.
I
Yes.
just wanted to say thank you to you as chairman and thank you to your committee for all the hours you spent during this summer. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you showing up and showing an interest. All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
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 Paul, Joe,
Aye.
yay, Guy, aye, is it unanimous? Jen?
Aye.
Aye. Brian?
Aye.
Aye, we have a unanimous. Meeting is adjourned at 7:48 PM. Thank you very much for all those who have attended. Have a nice evening.